All right, welcome back to another episode of the Cody Tucker Show. As always, I'm your host, Cody Tucker. Be sure to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. So, I guess to kind of go ahead and kick things off, I might have spoken a little too soon about the old Princess Kate situation. As it turns out, right here, the Princess of Wales says she's undergoing cancer treatment. Uh-oh. That's not good. I had hinted that the princess may or may not have been beaten into a coma. Boy, was I wrong. So, it takes a mature adult to know when is the right time to apologize. And, well, sorry about that. Oh my God. I should have waited a little bit longer. But but I can't help it. I mean, that's what this is. It's me just crapping out of my mouth to an audience of tens of people who, hopefully, there's no way that anyone who actually, I don't know. I should have waited. I mean, it was like maybe 2 days after the last episode was posted that came out. And, yeah, I was a little off the mark on that one. Yeah, cancer had not really crossed my mind, which, I mean, obviously a lot of the blame is on me. A lot of the blame is on me for just being, in some ways not really like the best person. But I can't help but to think that some of this is their fault. Not her having cancer, which who knows what kind of things that the royal family are, in possession of. But I was not alone in thinking that something real strange was afoot. I actually think that some of my little my theories were decently mild compared to some of the ones I kind of dove into, on my private time, of course. Her basically dying and then them reanimating her corpse, a la Mary Shelley. I tell you, I was about 3 or 4 days away from jumping onto that train. And that has to be partially to blame. Like, part of the blame has to be put on the PR team of the royal family. Because they should know, and obviously, cancer's got to be that's got to be a rough thing to go through. But also, when you are arguably some of the most well-known people on earth, you have to know people are going to be asking questions whenever they haven't seen one of those people for months. Like, what happened? And with their track record, there was a chance that she was in a basement somewhere with an iron mask. So, should I have... Okay, time for some self-reflection. Should I have just kept my mouth shut? No. Should I have spouted off some half-assed conspiracies. No. Does the entire PR team of the royal family deserve to be drawn and quartered? As I think they still do that. Yes. It's their fault that they had to know that idiots like me were going to just jump into the most bananas conspiracies that there are. Between her getting a BBL, her, becoming a autonomous robot, and her being, flown over a volcano in Greenland or in Iceland and thrown into it to, keep the planet from self-destructing. It's not the craziest ideas when it involves these weirdos. So, with all that being said, the PR, should have definitely dropped the ball on this one. Which brings me to the next point. It has now come to my attention that there's a new job, that there's a new position open in old Buckingham Palace. So right, Buckingham Palace hiring a £25,000 a year communications assistant as scrutiny continues into royal handling of Kate rumors. Let me tell you something. I don't know what's it called? When you go from one currency to the other. Jesus Christ. What is that? Oh my God. I'm starting to think I might have some sort of dementia. What the fuck is that called? Going from one currency to the other. God, the 6 people listening to this right now are probably shouting it out right now. Well, if only I could hear you. Conversion. Right? Currency conversion rate? Yes. If the conversion rate, if I'm right about that, that's like 34,000 a year? 36,000 a year? That ain't enough. That is not enough money to deal with this. Now, so with that being said, I have brought it up quite a few times that what I'm doing right now is not what I'm meant to be doing. This is clearly not going that well. And, that's not y'all's fault. That's all on Big CT over here. Am I the most charismatic, upbeat human being? No. I have the charisma of a dead sloth, and tend to say just things I probably shouldn't be saying, in private or in public. So good thing I'm recording it and saving it for all of human existence. So this isn't what I'm probably meant to be doing. What I am meant to do is to let a company or people or whoever know when they are doing something very stupid. Now, as I'm saying that out loud, I'm definitely not taking my own advice, because otherwise I wouldn't be doing this. But, rarely are people able to take their own advice. And I'm only one woman. So, I'm applying for this position. Might as well just say it. Now, whether or not I'm going to use my real name, not sure. I may, in fact, use a fake name, but I am in the process of applying for this role. Because, as I was eventually going to get at, the career path that I am most suited for is telling a business, a company, a person, whatever, when they are doing something completely idiotic, when what they are doing doesn't make sense. I'm very good at nitpicking and finding flaws, which, in my day-to-day life is probably not like the best thing. It creates quite a pessimistic attitude. But if you are an institution worth billions of dollars, you might need somebody like me to go through the details and say, why are you doing this? This is dumb. And every, real job I've had before doing this, that was kind of like what turned me off from all those jobs, is just seeing like, why are you operating like this? Like, the amount of money that could be made by not doing the things that you're doing is astounding. And, so I always felt like I should be in some sort of boardroom, but not 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. I am definitely not meant for that. But basically just like, hey, we came up with a new idea. Can you, get on a Zoom chat and we'll run it by you. See what you think. That's where I feel like I would fare very well. Now, I don't know if that is an actual position. Like, I don't know if Amazon has a part-time you're an idiot role. But maybe I should just create one. But so to go back to this, I do feel like I have a good chance of getting this position. Now, let's just kind of go through. So I have it here pulled up. According to their website, are, some of the gist of the role and some of the responsibilities. And we'll just see if I think, I'm going to kind of brainstorm it out, kind of off the dome a little. And if anyone is still listening, what are we, about 12 minutes in? Hey, thank you. But also, the numbers show that everybody dropped out about 9 minutes ago. So, I'm talking to nobody. Which is fine. I mean, I'm used to just talking to myself anyway, so might as well record it. So, about the role. It's developing your skills on a worldwide platform, and it's pride in joining the team at the heart of the world-famous institution. This is what makes working for the royal household exceptional. The royal communications team there's a team. Boy, did I not think that there would... I don't know why that's so surprising to me, that there is a team of people who have ruined this. Anyways, the Royal Communications team promotes the work, role, relevance, and value of the royal family to a worldwide audience. That is definitely worth more than £25,000 a year. To be able to convince billions of middle class to lower middle class to poverty level people that these people should exist... Boy, you should be getting paid way more than that. But anyways, the reaction to our work is always high profile. Yes, it is. And so reputation and impact will be at the forefront of all that you do. God damn, they should be taking... See, again, to go back to the point, a lot of times people can't take their own advice. I know for a fact that I should not be eating McDonald's every morning. And if someone were to ask me to create a diet plan for them, I'm not even joking. I could probably come up with a diet plan equal to, maybe even better, but definitely not like much lower than a licensed nutritionist. I know that is a hell of a claim to be making, but I am very good at giving advice. And horrible at listening to that advice. So, looks like even Buckingham Palace can't do it. So maybe I'm in good company. I don't know. So whether working on a state visit, ceremonial event, or royal engagement, or the, MIA of a fucking royal. You'll make sure our communications consistently spark interest and reach a range of audiences. Well, you definitely did that over the past couple months. All right, so here's the responsibilities. Now let's see how well I would do with this. Assist senior colleagues with both proactive and reactive communications. Okay, think I'm pretty good at that. Facilitate and oversee media access to royal engagements at royal residences and other locations. Okay, not exactly sure what that means. Produce content for a variety of platforms, including media advisory, social media updates, and feature articles. So, okay, hold on. So these people make their own, like, TikToks and stuff? Jesus, what a fucking... God, I'm an idiot. If they are making their own content for social media, which I guess they did because they posted those fucking fake videos of Princess Kate and fake pictures. My God, it has to just be like 3. I would not be surprised if when you walked into the office, whatever office these people work in, I would not be surprised if it was like 5 chimpanzees shitting onto typewriters and like sticking their, penises into like a fax machine. That is what I imagine this group of people is that do this. Which if it is, I will fit right in. Responding to day-to-day media inquiries on a range of subjects. Inquiries or inquiries? I say inquiries, but I think it might be inquiries. I don't know. Responding to day-to-day media inquiries on a range of subjects, including about the work of the royal family, blah, blah, blah. Provide administration support such as diary planning, almost a dairy planning. Boy, if there is a position that lets you milk Kate Middleton, I'd be in. Hell, I'll milk fucking William if I have to. Providing administration support such as diary planning and facilitating the accreditation? Accreditation? What the fuck is an accreditation? Process for state visits. Provide logistical support to the media and the royal communications team. Okay. I don't know what 90% of that meant. And I already know I would be better at it than the people who currently hold those positions. That's how bad these fucking people are and how stupid they are. Amazing. Anyways, I think I've harped on these people enough, so let's see what's next on the docket today. Oh my God. So got around to watching this. So if you're just listening, watched Quiet on Set. The Dark Side of Kids TV. Yeah. Not exactly the most cheerful program that I've ever seen, but very fascinating. So, for people who are living under a fucking rock, which partly envious, Quiet on the Set basically is exposing the rampant child abuse / pederasting that was just, all day, every day on the set of Nickelodeon. It was like ancient Greece, working on the set of a Nickelodeon show in the late 90s to early 2000s, to maybe even like kind of late 2000s. So, apparently, basically everything that anyone like around my age remembers watching on Nickelodeon was created by this piece of shit, a fella named Dan Schneider. Now, I know you might be looking at that and thinking, oh my God, what would you? One, you should know that, it should be a warning that anyone over the age of 16 who has that haircut is a creep. And boy, is Dan Schneider just a big old fat fucking just a sack of shit. Like, the definition of... It is hard to even put it into words. How much of a just complete scumbag this dude is. And what's crazy is that, like, a lot of people are coming out to support this dude. Now, so to go through it a little bit. So, starting in, like, the late 90s, mid to late 90s, that, Jabba the Hutt with a Bieber wig, Dan Schneider, started creating these kids' TV shows. Now, when these shows were on, was a child. Massive fan of these shows. All that, the Amanda Show, like all those shows, I was a very big fan of. It never really occurred to me that it wasn't kids writing the shows. So, yeah, never seemed weird at all to me as a kid. And why would, I was a kid, younger than the people even on the show, watching, other kids. Now, also, my first, like, childhood crush, like little kid crush, was Amanda Bynes. 100%. And I remember watching it and being, feeling a little bit of a little movement going on down there. Like, holy shit, it's waking up. I am blossoming into an adult woman. But I was also, 9? No, I had to have been a little older than that. 10 or 11 at the oldest, when, like, the Amanda Show was on. She was probably, like, 12? She was older than me. And, yeah, like, super attracted to Amanda Bynes as a child. Now, this dude, this old Dan Schneider, boy, he seemed to be attracted to Amanda Bynes, and he was not a child. Just the way he interacts with people is, you could tell it's a dude who never had any, and I'm no goddamn Casanova for sure. But you can tell this is a dude who wished he was, like, getting girls as a young man, or not even a young man, as like a young boy, but couldn't. And now he's like an adult and is like trying to relive it. Oh, God. There's nothing creepier than that to me. But it never, ever crossed my mind that it was like a grown-up making all of this. So when something would happen that I'd be like, oh, Amanda Bynes is so hot. Like, when I'm like 10 or whatever, if they I remember like being like a little kid, she's in like a hot tub, and I was like, oh my God, like a girl in a hot tub, like it did not cross my mind that it was a mid 30-year-old man that was like, gotta get you in a bathing suit. Which, how does that not raise so many red flags? Like, one, if you're writing jokes for like little kids, like I could not do that. Like, I think I'm, a decently funny person. I could not write a kid's show. Like, I don't know what's funny. Even whenever I was really, like, when I was a kid, I didn't find a lot of kids shows to be funny. Like, the Amanda Show, I remember thinking was pretty funny as a kid. But I was still way more into, like, Jackass and, like, movies that were, like, old school and, stuff like that. Like, kid shows were not, like, funny to me. Like, even, I'm saying, like, even as a child. Meanwhile, there's a 35-year-old man that looks like Billy Bob from Varsity Blues, who is writing all this shit for, like, a 10-year-old Kenan Thompson. Ooh. Now, it did dawn on me quite a bit while I was watching it that I am not far off, that I'm about 1 or 2 bad weekends away from looking just like Dan Schneider. You think I have this because I think it looks good? No, I have this little trashy ass, like, somewhat goatee because if I didn't, this is what my chin would look like. The goiter on this man is just astounding. Like, as far as I know, in this picture, he might be wearing a V-neck, and it's still. And it is still just squeezing off his dadgum throat. I mean, look at this man. What a just disgusting human being. And yes, I am fully aware that I'm not far off from looking like that. I mean, thank God I was always into older women. I at least don't have to worry about that. Yeah, Jesus. It's hard to watch it. Like, I can pretty much stomach anything. I'm not going to be, like, looking up, like, fucking beheading videos and shit. But I have seen them, and it's disgusting. But, like, I can handle watching it. Like, it doesn't, like, traumatize me to watch it. Or if I watch, any, like... I always grew up watching, like, horror movies, like, blah, blah, blah. I think I have a pretty, strong stomach when it comes to, pretty horrifying stuff. When something involves kids, it just... It just makes... I don't know. Like, it's hard to even explain the, like, reaction. It's like a skin crawl, but inside my... like, in my guts. Like, I want to, and I'm no, fighter, but I want to just beat the living shit out of Dan Schneider when I'm watching this. And not just him. There's the Brian Peck. There's a plethora of people who you want to just grab them by the throat and just shake them until their head rolls off. Some of them are the parents of these kids, too, where you're just like, what the hell is going on? But, like, I know people were, like, shitting on old Drake Bell from Drake and Josh, like, his interview. I'm like, how are you going to shit on this dude? Now, I know he's done some, he's done some pretty bad things, too. But also, like, oh, man, I can't imagine. That's just, boy, did I put a screeching halt to this. I should never have talked about this. But it's just amazing. Like, now, to be sort of fair, I was trying to look, because I was like, one, in my head, for some reason, I thought Dan Schneider was dead. I thought that some bitch had, like, taken himself out a while back, which, yeah, fingers crossed. But I was like, look, I was seeing, like, his, like, a little rebuttal to all this. And what he was saying was that, that he didn't see anything being too, like, he didn't see any of this, like, sexuality to this show, that people are taking it and sexualizing it in this documentary. Now, there are a few moments in this documentary where I was like, okay. Like, for example, or they're, like, not mad at the wrong, or they're mad at the wrong thing. So there's one, I can't remember the guy's name or kid's name, but he was playing a superhero called, like, Noseboy. Now, this young child is African American. To make a superhero called Noseboy and have the African American child play Noseboy is a wild swing. And then their whole thing is that, like, his costume on the shoulders would have giant black noses on them, and very, like, it's like one of the most racist shit I've ever seen. And it was hard for me not to just be laughing my ass off the entire time. I was like, who looked at this and was like, yeah, that's what we should do? Because it means that somewhere there's a costume designer who has to create a three-dimensional African American nose to sew onto the shoulders of a young African American child. What a day at work. I mean, there is no way that person drove to work that day and thought, I'm going to be making a huge, very racist, stereotypical black nose and sewing it onto the costume of a black child. There is no way that person thought that they were going to be doing that day. But their whole argument is that the nose looked like a dick. And they basically had dick shoulders. And that was supposed to be like this like sexual thing. That to me that's where I was like, okay, that's a stretch. Now this is coming from somebody who in my youth spent a very large amount of time drawing penises onto just random objects or seeing things and being like, oh, look at that, it looks like a dick. I mean, the amount of times that I like grabbed a banana and 2 oranges and held it and was like, hey, look. Pretty ashamed to admit it, but the over-under, at least 80 times by the time I was like 13. Like, I could not go to, Walmart as a child and not grab a big old big old stick of summer sausage and just walk around. So yes, I am very familiar with taking an object and making it penile. That nose didn't look like a dick. Trust me, I've seen my share. That didn't look like one. It looked like a very racist black nose. I was like, that's where I thought they were going. I was like, God damn, this, not only is this dude a fucking pederast, he's also a complete racist. Which, boy, it kind of did seem that way as well. But anyways, like old dick shoulders, that's, I'll actually give one to old Schneid Dog on this one. I don't think that is one example where I was like, okay, he is kind of right. Like, they are sort of just like, they're taking something and making it seem sexual when it isn't. But then they're showing him, giving massages to a fucking like 12-year-old goddamn Amanda Bynes and shit. And you're like, all right, well, any like sliver of a redemption that I had for him, gone. So, man, I mean, the whole idea, because one thing that they kind of talk about in this documentary, which was very like surprising to me, and for some reason it had never really crossed my mind in this way, is like how weird it is that you can be a child actor. Like, hearing the like business side of it and how they talk about it as like going to work, which obviously it is. I mean, it's a job. Like, you're getting paid to perform a task, which is pretty much the definition of a job. But it is weird that you can be like 8 years old and do that if it's for a TV show or a movie or something. But you can't be 8 years old and have your parents like take you to fucking Lowe's and have you, start stocking shelves. Like, it's weird that we make an exception for show business. There's a million exceptions that are made for for show business, but that one is just one that I thought was like, as I'm watching, like, God damn, these kids are talking about this like it's a 9 to 5, and for them it is actually. I mean, in some ways, more than a 9 to 5. I mean, the amount of like work that they're doing. I mean, it is. I can't imagine being a parent, which I'm obviously, as far as I know, not a parent. But I cannot imagine being one and being like, that's what I want my kid to do. Boy, I would love to surround my kid with adults who love making children's content and being around children. And as long as they're getting paid a decent amount, have at them. It's just, it's so bizarre. Like, it really is just such a bizarre thing. Like, yeah, I mean, you would never, like, there is no exception to that rule. I mean, what's like the age you can start working? It's like 16. I think maybe like 50, sometimes like 14 or 15 with like, I think in Texas it's 16 no matter what, but then I think you can start working at either 14 or 15 if you have like parental consent. Like there's like a, shit that you have to go through, like kind of some legal work. Like if you have a parent with like a, disability or like very low income and you got to start working at an early age, there's like exceptions to it, but there's no way it's under 14 in Texas at least. But if they were filming a kids TV show in Texas, you can put a damn 7-year-old in there 8 hours a day, as long as they have a tutor to help them with school, which is also a big old hunk of shit too, which is why most of them coming out being like dumber than a fucking box of rocks. But yeah, like just such a weird thing. Like for music too, like, if your kid can sing, you can put that fucker on The Voice. And as long as goddamn Reba McEntire turns her chair around, then say, I'll pick you. Then you can, go on tour. It just is. Oh man, just a weird fucking thing. But also, what's the alternative? You make a movie that has like a child character and you put fucking, Matt Damon on his knees with shoes on his knees and say he's, Timmy. Like having his hands, basically his fingers scraping on the ground. Like you have to have, I guess you kind of have to have kids in movies, in TV shows, if there's a kid character. But also this dude, this Brian, which is just another level of, like, as horrible of a person as Dan Schneider is. This guy's like on a completely different level of just shittiness. But like he still works. Like I looked on his IMDb because they were saying that he started working on like some other show. I can't remember what it was, but started working on another show after that. And yeah, like he's working now. And he is a like legitimate, kid diddler. Boy. Yeah. It's interesting, the double standards. Because like a manager at McDonald's would not be able to get away with that. If you were a manager, say you were a manager at McDonald's, 35, 40 years old, whatever. I don't know how old this Brian Peck dude was at like around this time, but probably let's say 40. You got a 16-year-old starts working there, which is already older than like Drake Bell when he was, doing weird shit to Drake Bell. But anyways, yeah, a 16-year-old starts working there. If you do something to that 16-year-old, they're not gonna pull a Catholic church and just send you to another McDonald's. Like you're going to jail, and you are for sure not getting hired at another McDonald's, but probably good luck finding any job. But if you work on a TV set, no problem. Oh, well, we just need to keep you away from this kid. But over there on that lot, all the kids you can handle. It's the Catholic Church. And the Catholic Church in Hollywood are the exact same thing. Like McDonald's and fucking Wendy's have higher standards for employees. I go way higher standards. Which is interesting. People don't really boycott, Hollywood. People don't talk shit about Hollywood the way they talk shit about McDonald's. Like, I'm using it as an example because of how much I talk shit about McDonald's and, like, how bad it must be to work there. But, hell, I think they pay, like, decently well now. But I'm just saying, like, yeah. a manager at a fast food place is getting arrested, tried, and convicted so quick if he does something to a minor. I mean, he's getting fired if he sleeps with a coworker, regardless. Which is also crazy. Like, take the age part out of it. I didn't think you could just like go around fucking coworkers publicly. Like, or not. I mean, he wasn't publicly fucking Drake Bell, but like, if you got caught, it's usually a separation. But it wasn't. Like, they were just like, oh well. Really fucking weird. Anyways, let's move on. I got a couple more things, and we'll dip on out. So let's see. I'll kind of go through these a little quicker. So speaking of Hollywood just being super goddamn bananas, Elizabeth Hurley felt safe filming sex scenes directed by her son. In her words, kind of liberating. Now, oh boy. Now, looking at the picture, which if you're not if you're just listening, if I didn't see the old Jubblies, I would have a very hard time telling which one is Elizabeth Hurley and which one is her son. I mean, they look like her son looks like a hotter woman than Elizabeth Hurley, who is, let me tell you something. If my mom looked like Elizabeth Hurley, yeah, I'm casting her in a movie and I'm writing 1,000,000 sex scenes. And I'm going full Steven Seagal. Like, oh yeah, there's been some rewrites, but mine doesn't. So I can't really blame him for this. The boy, it's a bit of an Oedipus thing for sure. It's got to be hard having a hot mom, like a Elizabeth Hurley level hot mom. That has to just be so confusing because you can't deny. Like, what is he supposed to do? This little twink is supposed to pretend like his mom isn't, like, one of the hottest white women to ever live. Like, he can't fucking pretend that isn't real. Like, most of us it's easy. We're like, yeah. not even a budge down there. Like, can you imagine? It's got to be torture. Yeah. Boy, I got to probably stop thinking about that. So but I'm just saying, I can understand him. Her, sometimes people just kind of don't need to say, as someone who, for some reason, is, we're still recording, which is fucking ridiculous. But as somebody who is, spends a deal of time just talking about stuff, and I don't really have like a plan. Like, I have the little topics here, but like I don't really know what I'm gonna say, which is probably it's probably abundantly clear, I would imagine. But I still would not say some shit like this. I would not say that it felt liberating to simulate getting pounded out in front of my little boy. But to Elizabeth Hurley, it did. And who knows? Maybe they, I'd watch it. I'd watch both of them. Why not? Fucking strange. But God, Elizabeth Hurley is, like, she's got to be, 50-something? What the fuck? Alright, anyways. Moving on. Do maybe, one more. So. So, John Hinckley Jr. quoted as, "Cancel culture, killing my music career." Now, if you are not familiar with who John Hinckley is, he is an attempted presidential assassin. But to him, cancel culture is killing his music career. Not the fact that he tried to take out old Ronnie Reagan to impress Jodie Foster, which, boy, you should have set your sights on someone different, pal. But he, I for one thought that this is America, where, you do a crime, you serve the time. After you serve the time, after you've done the crime, you go out in the world and you start over. Now, I also was not really under the impression that you could shoot a president and eventually just kind of get to go out and do whatever. Did not think that was a thing that happens. But John Hinckley Jr., a complete psychopath, did in fact try to kill Ronald Reagan, was nearly successful, was put in prison, released from prison, which is okay. I mean, there are people that served longer for, having weed than John Hinckley, who tried to kill a president. Which, in my mind, I thought that was, the worst crime you could commit. Shooting a president from basically point-blank range. How is that a crime that you can just kind of, get out one day? Whereas other anyways, but apparently John Hinckley thinks that the rampant cancel culture is the reason why every time he tries to do one of his shitty shows singing fucking folk music that no one cares about, that it gets canceled because of cancel culture. It probably has a little bit more to do with the fact that you tried to kill a goddamn president. I don't know. John Hinckley might not be all there. If I just had to take a wild guess, I would say old Hink Dog probably. I can't. Which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he got to get out because his mom was sick, which is insane. And then but I think his mom died. So they should just put his ass right back in. And she'd be like, all right, you got your time with your mom, who, what the fuck is he, And then, you just go you wait for the mom to kick the bucket and say, all right, give me your wrist, dickhead. And then, back to the slammer you go. But no, apparently if mom's sick, you get to get out even if you try to kill the fucking president. Hilarious. Which I know a lot of people hate Ronald Reagan, but it's interesting. A lot of people seem to hate Ronald Reagan, but if you do look at the number, as far as his margin of victory, it didn't seem to be that hated back then. I'm not saying I'm some fucking right wing, whatever. I do not consider myself to be really any wing. I'm more right in line with the penis of the bird, if you will. Right down the middle. Maybe slightly left-leaning, depending on the size and hook of said penis, but which is probably fair. And it kind of depends. Some days I sort of lean to the right, some days I sort of lean to the left. If I'm feeling optimistic, it is weird because whenever I feel kind of optimistic, I sort of lean to the left. Let everybody do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. You're not hurting anybody. Do whatever you want. Fuck it. Yeah. I kind of, if I'm, the better mood I'm in, the lefter I feel. But if I wake up and I'm just kind of just pissed off for some reason, boy, I'm one getting cut off driving away from, joining the Tea Party. I don't want anyone getting married. I don't want anyone getting an abortion. You fucking be miserable with that kid. If I'm miserable right now without a kid, fuck you. You got to at least have fun and have sex. You keep the fucking kid and be miserable. But then the next day I wake up fine. I'm like, no, fucking kill that kid. Who gives a shit? You can always have another one. You don't really want the kid. Fucking kill it. I don't give a shit. Oh my God. Jesus. Not to be too crass, but I just coughed up some shit on this microphone that I might need to put in a petri dish and take to the clinic. But yeah, like, which is kind of what it is, because that's, I don't know. Like today I woke up and I felt pretty good. It's like, yeah, like I feel good. I'm well rested. Exercise this morning, which, surprise enough, actually kind of makes you feel good throughout the day. And I'm definitely way more open to people just fucking, hey, kill your kids. Yeah, let anybody play whatever sport they want. Who gives a fuck? If a dude wants to go in there and beat the shit out of a couple of women, who am I to stop him? Fuck it. Of course the WNBA players should be paid as much as the regular NBA. It doesn't matter that every WNBA game has an audience of about 15. 12 of those are, friends and family. 3 are just kind of weird creeps. And an NBA game is damn near sold out every night. That doesn't matter. Pay them equal. But yeah. But tomorrow could be a whole new story. We'll see. So anyways, I think that'll probably do it for this episode. I think I've said probably as much as I need to say for this amount of time. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you didn't, well, I'm sorry to hear that. But also not really. There's nobody listening to this right now, so what does it matter? Now would be the time if I wanted to say something highly offensive. It's buried so far deep into this episode, no one will ever find it. If I want to just shout out a random racial slur, now would be the time to do so. I don't think. Well, nah. Maybe next time. Again, feeling a little left-leaning today. Now, next week, let me wake up with a crick in my neck or something, like a little bit of a sniffle. Boy, I might end this episode a la Kramer. Oh, goodness. Well, no better time to leave than that. So, until next week, goodbye.